day, my name is Kayla Fourie. I'm a Skills Development Facilitator at the SEESA Port Elizabeth branch.
Good day, my name is Monray Fivaz and I'm also working at SEESA's Port Elizabeth branch as a Skills Development Facilitator. Today, we will be discussing the importance of having regular employment equity committee meetings, what needs to be discussed during these meetings, and why these meetings should be held. If your business is designated for employment equity, it is most likely time for you to have a committee meeting to discuss matters pertaining to the Act as well as the implementation thereof. In a previous recording, we have covered the topic of what needs to be discussed in your initial meetings. This will be to analyze your business to identify any employment equity barriers and then developing and implementing affirmative action measures to overcome these mentioned barriers. These identified barriers and affirmative action measures were then used to finalize your EE plan. Now, Kayla, seeing as the few initial meetings are to analyze the business and developing affirmative action measures, why do we need to have any meetings after this?
So according to the Employment Equity Act, the designated employer must have a consultative forum in place. This committee needs to meet at least 4 times a year on a quarterly basis. This is to monitor and evaluate the progress of the effectiveness of these affirmative action measures that have been in place, and also to discuss any new possible barriers that may have arisen since implementing our employment equity plan. Remember, the committee needs to consist of people from all races, gender, and occupational levels. This is to ensure that if any of your employees feel that they're being discriminated against in any of the listed arbitrary grounds in accordance to the Employment Equity Act, they have an open channel for their grievances to be heard in this committee and that they feel comfortable with. Monray, why do we need any further meetings?
Well, first of all, it is a legislated requirement that all designated employers need to have at least 4 committee meetings a year. This will also be the first thing that the inspectors from the Department of Labour will ask for during an EE inspection. As we know, is the employment equity process as set out in the EE Act enforced by the Department of Labour. The Department of Labour's employment equity inspectors conduct regular audits on companies in order to monitor the compliance as well as the progress of the employer's implementation of employment equity. So generally, there are 2 types of audits. Firstly, you have a procedural inspection, which specifically looks at the content of your employment equity file. And dependent on the satisfaction of the inspector with your documentation, the outcome thereof will either lead to the employer being found administratively compliant or to be referred for a more in-depth inspection that is known as a Director General Review. This inspection dives further into the contents of your meeting, the structure of your committee, as well as the progress towards the implementation of your numerical goals and targets.
Thank you, Monray. That covers the legislative requirements quite nicely. In terms of the contents of these meetings, which is the need to monitor and evaluate the progress in terms of new appointments or promotions for the current year's targets as set out in our employment equity plan. Has your business appointed or promoted individuals as planned for or not? If not, the committee needs to establish whether the employment equity plan was consulted with when making these new appointments or promotions. If the employment equity plan was consulted with, the reasons for not reaching these specific targets for the year should be discussed and adjusted if necessary. This discussion should be noted in the minutes.
Quite right, Kayla. So the committee needs to review the list of policies and procedures in your employment equity plan to confirm that any employment equity barriers already identified have been overcome. The affirmative action measures to overcome these barriers should be monitored to determine whether they have been rectified within the time frame as set out in your plan. Upon reviewing the policies and procedures, it will automatically bring to light any new barriers. The committee will then discuss the new affirmative action measures to overcome these newly identified barriers. Furthermore, the purpose of these meetings are also to reiterate the importance of the employment equity process to your committee. This is to ensure that they continue to fulfill their duty to create awareness within the business. This will also be a good opportunity to remind the committee of the notice board, a copy of the company's employment equity plan, and EE reports that were previously submitted to the Department of Labour, such as your EEA2, can be found. And also refer to the posters surrounding your business that will display Employment Equity Act, as well as the Basic Conditions of Employment Act.
Thank you, Monray. It is clear that there are quite a few responsibilities in the committee that needs to be continuous basis. Therefore, we urge all designated employers to ensure that they have committee meetings every quarter. Don't worry, your SEESA SDF is always here to guide you through the whole process and ensure that you are confident about what needs to be discussed in these committee meetings.
Thank you, Kayla, and that is all that we have time for today. For more information, please contact your SDF, your nearest SEESA office. Alternatively, please visit our website.